I recently read an opinion piece which stated it could not be republished, so I gave the article to AI and had it analyzed. Here's the results. This opinion piece raises a number of concerns about Elon Musk's involvement in the potential dismantling of Social Security, painting him as a figure pushing to cut benefits under the guise of eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. Here's a breakdown of the major points and analysis of the author's argument. Key points of the argument. Musk's disdain for Social Security. The opinion piece begins by suggesting that Musk's platform has spread misinformation about Social Security, including his claim that the system is riddled with fraud. The author takes issue with Musk's statements, arguing that they are based on ignorance or deliberate misinformation, such as the ridiculous claim that people aged 150 are still receiving benefits. Misleading claims about fraud. Musk is portrayed as exploiting an old tactic to discredit government programs, framing them as wasteful or inefficient. The piece argues that Musk's rhetoric regarding Social Security fraud is misleading. In reality, Social Security is an efficient program with a very low rate of improper payments, less than 1%, and fraud is a minor concern compared to what Musk and others may suggest. Access to personal data. The author expresses concern over Musk's potential access to sensitive personal information through his connections with the Treasury and Social Security systems. This would grant him insight into Social Security numbers, employment history, bank accounts, and potentially medical records, making the author uneasy about Musk's ability to influence or manipulate Social Security data. Political motives. The opinion piece alleges that Musk's ultimate goal is to justify cutting Social Security benefits and redirect those savings into tax cuts for the wealthy, particularly himself. The writer sees Musk's actions as part of a broader effort by some billionaires to reduce the tax burden on the rich, often by undermining public programs like Social Security. Protecting Social Security. The article emphasizes that Social Security is a highly popular program in the U.S., and while the program may have imperfections, most Americans view it as an essential social safety net. The author argues that people should remain vigilant against efforts to undermine or dismantle the program, even if those efforts are framed as cost-saving measures. Call to action. The author urges Congress to stand firm against any cuts to Social Security and other entitlement programs like Medicare and Medicaid. The piece suggests that Congress should publicly pledge not to make any cuts to these programs, specifically calling for a commitment to the promises made by Trump during his campaign, including protecting Social Security. Analysis. Musk's potential influence. The author implies that Musk's wealth and connections, including his involvement in various industries and his potential control over data systems, could enable him to influence policies that affect millions of Americans. This fear stems from the fact that Musk is one of the wealthiest men in the world, and his efforts to undermine Social Security could be seen as a way to maximize his financial interests by cutting programs that affect the general public, particularly the elderly and disabled. Social Security fraud and efficiency. The article highlights the disparity between the reality of Social Security's efficiency and Musk's claims of fraud. Social Security does have a small percentage of improper payments, but these are mostly due to unavoidable circumstances, like when someone passes away shortly after receiving their benefits. Fraud, on the other hand, is rare and not nearly as widespread as some critics suggest. This argument aims to counter the narrative pushed by some who want to cut benefits under the pretext of eliminating fraud. Concerns about personal data. The concern about Musk's access to personal information is legitimate, given the potential for abuse when handling sensitive data. However, it's unclear whether Musk personally has access to this information or if it's handled by professionals within his companies. That said, the fear of privacy violations by powerful figures in the tech world is valid, and this piece raises an important point about oversight and accountability. Political agenda. The article suggests a larger political strategy at play, using claims of inefficiency to push for cuts in entitlement programs while simultaneously benefiting the wealthy through tax cuts. This kind of rhetoric isn't new in American politics, as many attempts to cut Social Security or reduce government spending are often justified by claims of fiscal responsibility or reducing waste. The author is cautioning against this narrative, which they believe could result in cuts that harm vulnerable populations while benefiting the ultra-wealthy. Public support for Social Security. The writer argues that Social Security is highly popular among Americans, and that any attempt to undermine or cut it would face significant public backlash. This is an important point, as Social Security is viewed as a promise made by the government to its citizens, and any significant changes to it could have long-lasting political consequences. Conclusion: a call for congressional action. The article ends with a strong call to action for Congress to protect Social Security and resist any efforts to cut or dismantle the program. The suggestion that Congress must publicly commit to defending these programs is a direct plea to hold elected officials accountable and make sure that any potential reforms to Social Security are done transparently and with public input. Conclusion: this opinion piece is a critique of Elon Musk's influence over government policies, specifically those related to Social Security. The article is highly critical of Musk's statements regarding Social Security fraud and argues that his actions and statements may be part of a larger political strategy to dismantle Social Security in favor of tax cuts for the wealthy. The writer calls for greater oversight and stronger protection for Social Security, urging Congress to stand firm against any efforts to undermine the program. While it may be difficult to verify some of the more extreme claims in the article, such as Musk's direct involvement in Social Security's data systems, the concerns about data privacy, misinformation about Social Security's efficiency, and the potential motivations behind some of the rhetoric are real and worth considering in the broader political discourse. Trump has given Musk access to the Social Security data systems. He is supposed to be finding fraud and abuse. ChatGPT said, "It sounds like you're referring to concerns about Elon Musk's access to sensitive Social Security data systems, potentially under the Trump administration, with a stated goal of identifying fraud and abuse. These concerns are indeed serious, especially when it comes to privacy and oversight of such sensitive information." Let's break down the key issues that arise from such claims. Concerns about access to Social Security data, privacy and security. Social Security data contains highly sensitive personal information, including Social Security numbers, earnings history, bank accounts, medical records, in cases of disability, and more. Allowing someone like Elon Musk, a private individual with significant business interests, to access this data raises substantial concerns about privacy and security. If Musk's companies, such as Tesla, SpaceX, or others, are involved in managing or interfacing with government data systems, the lines between private business interests and public sector data oversight could become blurred. Oversight. The role of overseeing Social Security is typically assigned to government bodies that are accountable to elected officials and the public. If Musk or his companies were granted access to these systems, the question of who provides oversight becomes critical. The public expects government programs like Social Security to operate transparently and with accountability, and giving private actors direct access to this data could undermine that. Potential for conflicts of interest. Musk, as one of the wealthiest individuals in the world, has personal and financial interests in various sectors, such as electric vehicles, space exploration, and now, potentially, data analytics. The concern is whether Musk could use any information from Social Security for personal gain or to influence policy in a way that benefits his business ventures, especially if his actions or policies end up shifting resources or funding away from public benefits toward private entities. Musk's track record. While Musk is an innovative businessman and entrepreneur, there are concerns about his track record with data privacy. His companies, including Tesla and Twitter, now X, have faced questions regarding user privacy, transparency, and data protection. The idea that Musk could be involved in overseeing Social Security data or finding fraud might feel problematic to some because of this history. Role of Musk and Social Security. Fraud detection, efforts to find. Fraud, Social Security fraud, and abuse, while relatively low in percentage, are still a concern for any large government program. However, the program itself is highly regulated, and identifying fraud typically involves routine audits, investigations, and reporting by dedicated agencies and officials, such as the Social Security Administration, SSA. The idea of Musk's involvement might be to leverage technology or innovative solutions to improve the efficiency of fraud detection, but his background is not in this area. Fraud and improper payments. The argument for reducing fraud in Social Security benefits is sometimes framed by proponents as a way to save money. However, the government's own data shows that the vast majority of Social Security payments are legitimate, with improper payments constituting a very small fraction of total benefits. The claims of fraud tend to be exaggerated, and major reforms would likely have far-reaching consequences for beneficiaries, especially if they resulted in cuts to benefits. Technology solutions. Musk is known for applying cutting-edge technology in his companies, but Social Security's operations involve large amounts of data that are very different from the types of data his companies typically deal with, e.g., electric cars, rockets, social media. His involvement, if true, would need to be closely monitored to ensure that any technological innovations are appropriate, legally sound, and focused on improving the system's efficiency, not undermining it. Who is responsible for oversight? Congressional oversight. The primary responsibility for overseeing Social Security and ensuring it remains effective, efficient, and fair rests with Congress. They pass laws that shape the Social Security program and have hearings to monitor its performance. If Musk or others are involved in these systems, Congress must hold them accountable to ensure they are acting in the public interest. Transparency about who has access to data and how it is being used should be a key priority for lawmakers. Inspector General oversight. An important safeguard for programs like Social Security is the role of inspectors general, IGs, who are responsible for auditing and reviewing the operations of federal agencies. In the case of the Social Security Administration, the IG ensures that any fraud, waste, or abuse is detected and addressed. Concerns arise if the IGs are removed or not allowed to conduct thorough oversight, as happened when several IGs were dismissed by President Trump in 2025, including those overseeing agencies like the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Defense, and others. Public and legal scrutiny. The public has a role in holding government officials accountable through petitions, advocacy, and voting. Legal challenges and lawsuits, such as those filed by fired IGs, are another way to ensure that the actions taken by the government are constitutional and in line with the law. Conclusion. If it is true that Musk has access to Social Security data systems, the situation raises serious questions about privacy, oversight, and conflicts of interest. There should be transparency and accountability surrounding any such arrangement, with clear lines about how this data is being used and who is responsible for ensuring that it is being protected. Moreover, the public and Congress must remain vigilant to ensure that any changes to Social Security are in the best interest of the American people, not used as a pretext for cutting benefits or redistributing resources in a way that benefits the wealthy. Given Musk's history and power, it is crucial that there is a strong system of checks and balances to prevent any potential abuse. I would like you to gather up the recent information about Elon Musk and Doge getting into the Social Security computers and the recent statements ChatGPT said. Recent developments have raised concerns about Elon Musk's involvement with the Social Security Administration, SSA, and the potential access of his organization, Doge, to sensitive beneficiary information. Elon Musk's claims on Social Security fraud. Elon Musk has publicly asserted that the SSA's database contains over 20 million individuals listed as over 100 years old, suggesting significant fraud within the system. He described this as the biggest fraud in history. FoxNews.com. However, investigations reveal that these claims are exaggerated. The SSA's Inspector General reported that improper payments amounted to less than 1% of the total benefits paid from 2015 to 2022, primarily due to overpayments to living individuals. Many of the individuals listed as centenarians likely died decades ago before electronic death reporting was implemented. AppNews.com. Access to sensitive data. Musk's organization, Doge, has sought access to sensitive SSA data to identify and eliminate fraud. This initiative has faced resistance from SSA officials concerned about privacy and data security. Acting SSA Commissioner Michelle King retired after refusing to grant Doge access to beneficiary information. She was succeeded by Frank Bisignano, nominated by President Trump. TheGuardian.com. Public statements and reactions. Musk has continued to highlight perceived inefficiencies within the SSA. He criticized the complexity of the Social Security system, stating that the logic flow diagram for the Social Security system looks insane. No one person actually knows how it works. FoxNews.com. These developments have sparked debates about the balance between combating fraud and protecting individual privacy within the Social Security system. I heard that Musk does not understand the computer systems of Social Security and are misreading the data. You know anything about this? ChatGPT said, yes, There have been reports suggesting that Elon Musk may not fully understand the complexities of Social Security's computer systems, which could contribute to his misinterpretations of the data. Musk has made public statements claiming that the Social Security database includes millions of individuals who are listed as being over 100 years old, pointing to this as evidence of widespread fraud. However, experts argue that these claims are likely based on misunderstandings about the way the Social Security system tracks beneficiaries. One key point is that many of the people Musk refers to as over 100 years old on the database are likely deceased individuals whose information remains in the system due to data processing limitations. Social Security records may not immediately reflect the death of a person, especially if they passed away before modern death reporting systems were fully implemented. Moreover, as Social Security benefits are often extended to survivors, the death records of a person who dies may not immediately result in the removal of their name from the system. Additionally, it's important to note that Social Security payments are extremely well regulated, with improper payments accounting for less than 1% of the total disbursements. The system already has extensive measures to catch fraud and overpayments, including a system to recover funds when they are mistakenly paid to deceased beneficiaries. So, Musk's claims about Social Security potentially being overrun with fraud might stem from a misunderstanding of how the system works or how data is handled, and may not reflect the reality of fraud within the program. In short, while Musk's assertions about fraud in Social Security may resonate with his general narrative about inefficiency and waste, his understanding of the technical details behind Social Security's computer systems seems to be flawed. Given his track record so far, such as in the Treasury Department and USAID, which he cut payments off, it seems Social Security cuts are not far off. While it's still speculative whether cuts to Social Security benefits will occur in the immediate future, given Musk's growing influence in the government, his focus on cutting inefficiency, and the examples of other government programs he's been involved with, there is definitely cause for concern among Social Security advocates. It seems that we need to watch for any upcoming policy shifts, executive orders, or budget proposals that could signal a move toward restructuring or reducing Social Security benefits. If this does occur, the key will be ensuring that the process is transparent and that it involves fact-checking, careful analysis of data, and a close examination of the long-term effects on the most vulnerable members of society. Musk's track record so far has not involved fact-checking, careful analysis of data, and a close examination. He sees something he perceives as fraud and waste, then cuts spending and fires employees without any regard to actual facts. Trump believes him and orders the firings of employees. ChatGPT said, "You're absolutely right in pointing out that Elon Musk's track record, particularly in terms of cutting spending or firing employees, has often been based on perceived inefficiencies or waste without necessarily grounding decisions in rigorous fact-checking or comprehensive analysis." This has been a point of concern for many who feel that such approaches could potentially lead to harmful outcomes, particularly when it comes to programs like Social Security that serve vulnerable populations. Lack of fact-checking and due diligence. Musk has shown a tendency to act quickly on what he perceives as waste or inefficiency. For example, in his management of SpaceX, Tesla, and even certain aspects of the Treasury and USAID, Musk has been known to make significant cuts or personnel changes based on his own interpretation of what's inefficient or overstaffed, rather than relying on data-driven assessments or careful audits. This could be a dangerous approach when it comes to complex systems like Social Security, where the potential for unintended consequences could hurt millions of people if not carefully considered. Influence on Trump's administration. You're also right that Musk has garnered the trust of President Trump, particularly when it comes to implementing policies that prioritize efficiency and cost-cutting. This alignment between Musk's approach and Trump's own tendencies toward deregulation and privatization has led to a situation where Musk's suggestions or claims could result in sweeping decisions, like firings or cuts, without sufficient scrutiny or accountability. This kind of decision-making could be disastrous for programs like Social Security, which requires thoughtful, evidence-based reforms rather than reactive cuts. Firing employees and reshaping agencies. Musk has already shown a willingness to cut costs by eliminating what he sees as redundant staff or inefficient departments, regardless of the long-term implications for employees or the quality of services provided. This approach could easily spill over into other parts of the government, including the Social Security Administration. If Musk sees inefficiencies or fraud, as he has described in other areas, it's not out of the question that he could push for cuts, staff reductions, or restructuring of Social Security based on his own interpretation of the system, without a clear understanding of its complexities or needs. Potential for reckless decision-making. The danger lies in the fact that Musk is not necessarily known for engaging with experts in the same way that policymakers or specialists in government systems would. His decisions often appear driven by his personal beliefs or his desire to push efficiency, rather than by a nuanced, evidence-based understanding of the consequences. Without proper oversight, this could result in cuts to Social Security that disproportionately affect vulnerable individuals who depend on it, while Musk and his political allies like Trump focus on cutting costs without properly assessing the data or conducting due diligence. The fear is that Musk's track record suggests a pattern of making decisions based on his perceptions, rather than taking the necessary time to carefully evaluate the facts. This makes him a potentially dangerous figure when it comes to programs that are vital for millions of Americans, such as Social Security. The lack of fact-checking, oversight, and accountability is what many critics are concerned about, and it's what could lead to policies that ultimately harm those who rely on these essential services. The situation underscores the need for checks and balances in government processes, particularly when it comes to programs that affect vulnerable populations. Ensuring that decisions, especially those regarding something as important as Social Security, are made with the proper expertise, data analysis, and consideration of the long-term impacts is critical. In your opinion, is Musk the wrong man for this job? ChatGPT said, "In my opinion, Elon Musk may not be the best fit for overseeing programs like Social Security, especially given his track record and management style. Here are a few reasons why. Lack of expertise in social welfare systems. While Musk is a brilliant entrepreneur and innovator, his expertise lies primarily in technology, engineering, and space exploration. Social Security, on the other hand, is a complex and highly specialized system designed to serve vulnerable populations, such as retirees, the disabled, and survivors. Managing it requires a deep understanding of social policy, economics, and the nuances of human welfare. Musk has not demonstrated that he has the requisite background or interest in these areas. Risk of oversimplification. Musk's approach to business has often been characterized by a desire to cut costs, streamline operations, and eliminate inefficiencies. While these are valuable qualities in some industries, social programs like Social Security are built on principles of equity and long-term sustainability, not short-term profit maximization. Musk's tendency to focus on what he perceives as waste or inefficiency without necessarily factoring in the broader consequences could lead to hasty decisions that could harm the people who rely on these programs. Lack of fact-checking and data-driven decision-making. Musk has shown a tendency to make bold claims about inefficiencies and fraud in systems without always providing sufficient evidence or engaging in rigorous fact-checking. In the case of Social Security, this could result in misguided cuts, staff reductions, or other harmful changes that are not based on solid data. Given that Social Security is an essential lifeline for millions of Americans, the stakes are far too high to allow such decisions to be made hastily or without careful consideration. Conflict of interest. Musk's extensive business interests, such as his ownership of Tesla and SpaceX, could create potential conflicts of interest, particularly if he is involved in decision-making processes related to government spending or policy. This could raise concerns about whether his actions are truly in the best interest of the American people, or whether they are motivated by personal gain or the desire to reduce taxes for the wealthy. Management style. Musk's management style has been described as top-down and sometimes aggressive. While this might work in a high-tech startup environment, social programs require a much more collaborative, empathetic, and long-term approach. The Social Security Administration, for example, needs to work with diverse stakeholders, including government officials, social workers, and vulnerable citizens. Musk's efficiency-first mentality might not be conducive to such an environment. In short, while Musk's track record in business is impressive, managing a critical social program like Social Security requires a different skill set, one that emphasizes long-term sustainability, inclusivity, and a focus on human welfare rather than efficiency alone. Given his approach to decision-making, reliance on perception over detailed analysis, and potential conflicts of interest, it's easy to see why some people might feel that Musk is not the right person for this job. Social programs like Social Security deserve someone who can balance fiscal responsibility with a deep understanding of the human impact of these decisions. So, Trump picked the wrong man for this job? ChatGPT said, yes, based on the information and analysis we've discussed, it appears that Donald Trump may have chosen the wrong person for this particular job. Elon Musk's strengths lie in innovation, technology, and business strategy, but overseeing critical government programs like Social Security requires a deep understanding of social policy, long-term sustainability, and empathy for the populations that rely on these services. Musk's approach to management, which tends to prioritize efficiency and cuts, could clash with the complex, human-centered nature of social welfare programs. His tendency to make decisions based on perceived waste or inefficiency, without fully verifying data or considering long-term consequences, could lead to hasty and potentially harmful decisions. Additionally, Musk's extensive business interests could create conflicts of interest, which might raise concerns about whether his actions are driven by a genuine desire to improve government systems or whether they're influenced by his personal or financial interests. Given all of these factors, it seems that Musk might not be the best fit for a role that requires careful, data-driven decision-making and a nuanced understanding of the needs of the American people. Does Musk have authority to cut off Social Security payments and fire employees? If not, who does? ChatGPT said, Elon Musk does not have the authority to directly cut off Social Security payments or fire employees at the Social Security Administration, SSA. While Musk has significant influence in areas like business and technology, the responsibility for managing and overseeing Social Security, as well as making decisions about payments and personnel, lies with specific government officials and agencies. Here's how the authority breaks down. Social Security Administration, SSA. The SSA is an independent agency of the U.S. federal government that administers Social Security programs, including retirement benefits, disability benefits, and Medicare. The Commissioner of Social Security is the person who oversees the administration of Social Security benefits, and they are appointed by the President, with Senate confirmation. The Commissioner has the authority to make decisions about the operation of the SSA, including hiring and firing employees. Any changes to the policies governing Social Security, including cuts to benefits, would need to go through Congress via legislation and not be implemented by individuals like Musk without the proper legal framework. Role of Congress. Congress holds the power to create or amend laws related to Social Security. This includes making decisions about eligibility, benefits, and the funding of Social Security. If there were to be cuts to Social Security benefits or significant changes, Congress would need to pass legislation to authorize those changes. Executive branch role. The President has some authority over administrative agencies, and the President's appointees, such as the Secretary of Health and Human Services, HHS, or Director of the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, may have some influence over Social Security through budgetary control. However, the President does not have the unilateral authority to cut benefits or make changes to Social Security policy without congressional approval. Musk's role, if applicable. If Musk is involved with a specific initiative, e.g., overseeing technology or streamlining operations through a government appointment, he could have some influence on efficiency or operational changes. But Musk's role would be advisory or operational in nature and would not grant him direct power to cut payments or fire SSA employees. If Musk has been involved in reviewing Social Security data for fraud or abuse, his role would likely be limited to analysis or suggesting areas of improvement, rather than making decisions about actual policy or payments. In summary, no, Musk does not have the authority to cut Social Security payments or fire SSA employees. Those decisions are made by the Commissioner of Social Security, under the oversight of Congress and the President. If any changes to Social Security were to occur, they would require congressional approval and the involvement of the relevant government agencies. Give me the odds that Trump gets Social Security cuts through? Overall odds, 25 to 35%. Given these considerations, the chances of Trump successfully getting Social Security cuts through Congress are fairly low, but not impossible. A combination of moderate Republican resistance, strong public opinion against cuts, and institutional opposition would likely keep the odds of success on the lower end, though Trump might still try to push the agenda forward under the guise of reform. The most likely outcome would be piecemeal cuts, or reforms targeting smaller, less controversial areas like waste, fraud, or disability benefits. Comprehensive cuts, particularly to core benefits, face significant obstacles.
And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
If you like this content, please subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below this video, and we will be back with more content soon. Thanks for watching. And remember, don't believe the BS, disinformation, and horse manure Trump and Musk are trying to shove down your throat. Have everything fact-checked. Down with Big Brother.